All right, guys, we're going to get started. Welcome, I'm Josh Taylor. I'm the Executive Director at the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. We thank you for your attendance here tonight at the Clifton Forge Town Council Candidates Forum, hosted by the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Thank you, candidates, for your participation in tonight's event. We also appreciate Justin Ryder and the Historic Masonic Theater for allowing us to use this beautiful facility this evening. I'd like to thank the Covington Women's Club for assisting with the event as our panel in the back of the room. We'd also like to thank the Allegheny Journal for streaming the candidates forum for us tonight. Thank you to Nancy Moga and Anita Prophet for serving on the review panel, as well as Kathleen All for serving as the timer. We ask that everyone silence their phones at this time. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. John Renoni, who will serve as the moderator for this evening.
Thank you, Josh. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for attending this evening. Thank you also to our three candidates. The local candidates for Clifton Forge Town Council election this November include furthest away is Carl Shorty Wolf. In the middle is Jeff Irvin, and to my left is Michael Foster. The rules. Each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves and give an opening statement. We will then move to the question and answer portion. All questions must be submitted to the review panel in the back, and no questions can be asked from the floor. So if you have a question, please go back there and see one of our two members of the Covington Women's Club. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. We will rotate in the order in which you answer the questions. The timer, Kathleen, will raise her hand when you have 30 seconds remaining and will stand when your time is up. At the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will have 3 minutes to present statements about their candidacy and explain why they're running for office. So with that, let's begin with our opening statements, and we're going to go alphabetically, and the first one is to my left is Mr. Foster.
Thank you, John. Good evening. My name is Michael Foster.
Check. Okay, good. It works. I am Michael Foster, and I'm running for one of the 2 town council seats. And I'm running because when we moved here 2+ years ago, part of our dream was to make a difference, to get involved in the community, to grow our business, and to help grow this area. I think we've successfully done that. My wonderful wife and I were going through names of other small businesses around town that we have engaged with and that we've partnered with in the last 2 years. And I think we stopped at over 50 small businesses and people that we've interacted with and who have helped us along the way. Because it's certainly not easy being a local small business owner. I grew up in a small town in Montana, the son of a very proud 5th generation beekeeper who, I had 4 siblings, so there were 5 kids. Smallish town, but it certainly gave me the roots to get to where I needed to go today. Thank you.
Good evening. Silence my mic. Good evening, and thank everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on and everybody involved. My name is Jeffrey Irvin. I've been your mayor for 2-3 years now. I've been the mayor 5 years. Vice mayor for 2 years, and on council for a total of 13 years experience. I think experience means a lot. Sometimes there is a time for change, but I think when you're going in the right direction, why change? You need to keep going in the right direction, and to vote for me would be in the right direction. I've lived here in Clifton my whole life. 62 years old, been here, seen Clifton go and come. Sometimes it's been up, sometimes it's been down. Now we're moving in the right direction again, and I want to be on your council as mayor, vice mayor, or just councilman, in November, and I appreciate your vote.
Well, I'm Carl. Most people know me as Shorty Wolf. The 20th this month, me and my wife have been married 38 years, so I got a few days. We have 2 children and 6 grandchildren, and we moved to Clifton Forge 13 years ago, and we fell in love with this place. We just want to make this place, Clifton Forge, a better place to live. We want to inspire our grandchildren to stay here and open businesses. And another thing is I've served on council for 4 years. I've got a little bit of experience, and I think we've moved a long way here in Clifton Forge in the last 3 years. And I've just really enjoyed being on council, and I'd like to be elected again. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, you three. We will now get into the question and answer portion. So we will begin with the first question with Jeff Irvin, and then go down to Shorty Wolf, and then come back here, and then we'll be able to rotate. First question is, we have an abundance of decrepit houses around town. What ideas do you have to incentivize owners to make repairs or at least tear down the vines?
Again, I am for making the decrepit buildings up to date. I think put them on the registry would be a step in the right direction. I don't think it's going to do it all together, but it's a good start. There's a fine that will go on these, not a fine, but a fee that will go on these by the state law. You can't use, but I think it's $150, up to $150. But it is a step in the right direction. I'd like to sit down with the owners or get communication with them and see why they're not doing what they should be doing with their buildings, why they're not trying to sell them, fix them up, or, just at least paint them. But the registry and talking to the owners would be a step in the right direction.
Thank you. Shorty?
Sell them to me. I'll fix them up and resell them. Since I've been in Clifton Forge, I've renovated 10 houses that were either in condemnable or in foreclosure, and I've sold all of them. They're all back on the tax ticket. I think we have to give them some kind of incentive to fix these houses up. Whether I don't think you're going to force them to do anything. We have to somehow build a relationship with these people who have these houses and tell them we just want this place to be a better place to live. When you get these letters from code enforcer, you almost feel offended and you get mad and you don't want to do anything. So I think if we reach out to them and talk to them before we send a letter, and just tell them we're genuinely concerned about your property and the looks of Clifton Forge. Thank you.
Michael? Mike?
It's a pretty complicated issue. There are property rights involved, there are personalities involved, but one of the differences, or one of the different things that I would like to approach, is going back to my interest in getting the opinions of others outside of here. A year and a half ago or so, I reached out to Senator Warner's office and got in touch with Isaac. And I was talking with Isaac about the issue of properties in town and wanted to better understand from a federal funding perspective what might be out there for us now or in the future. So he came to town, we walked around town with Chuck, we had lunch, we talked for probably 2+ hours. And I think that the solution to this has to start with what is the root cause and what is the best solution for us. And one of the things that I will commit to doing is sitting down with our House of Delegates and our senator from this area who are in Richmond and spending as much time as I need to communicate to them how important it is to the people in Clifton Forge for us to find a solution to this. The registry issue has been on the books for years. And the fact that it's not been, either effectively executed or really pushed, I think is something that needs to change. But I think that we have to work with the folks in Richmond to come up with a better structure that's more punitive, if you will, to make sure that the changes that need to be made are made as quickly as possible.
Thank you. This next question is for Mr. Wolf. Clifton Forge has a large population gap between ages 25 and 45. This suggests children move away after high school or college. What do you think are the reasons for the out-migration, and what would you propose to do?
Well, me as a pastor, there's a big gap at the same spot. We raise children in the church, and for some reason they leave and they don't come back till they're 50, until their life's a wreck. And I think they leave this area because we don't offer them a whole lot when it comes to employment. I know a lot of people who are carpooling back and forth to Roanoke just so they can live in Clifton Forge. And a few of them have been in major car wrecks and died driving back and forth to work. And sometimes it's cheaper and safer to move away. Clifton Forge has a lot to offer. It just doesn't have a whole lot to offer when it comes to employment. If somehow we could adjust that, I want to say adjust that, if I'm using the right word, somehow have an incentive to draw companies here. I don't know exactly how it works to get people to come here, but we had COVID and it shut down, and then, which was going, and we've had several businesses around here, even when I was a kid, we had Iron Gate Rubber Plant, I even worked at Jane Colby Sewing Factory, which is Cook's Used Tire now, went back in the 70s, and it's just somehow, how do we fill these buildings with something besides paper from West Baker? Thank you.
Next question will come to Mr. Foster.
Jobs. Both of these gentlemen up here have alluded to the fact that in order to attract the 25 to 45-year-old population, we need to have more jobs here. But that's not an easy equation. There are root causes that are 3 or 4 levels below that. And I think that we're doing a good job of addressing the infrastructure issues that the town has. We have to have attractive and available downtown and or somewhere else in town property or buildings for them to move into. So I think that the efforts that have been undertaken so far with respect to the town building, refurbishing buildings, and then hopefully being able to roll those funds over, to new houses or to new buildings is a great move. But we also have to think about the right incentives that can bring people here. Whether that's working with, the large corporations or looking at, partnering with small entrepreneurs and leveraging the fact that we've got a great community college right outside the town limits to create opportunities for new jobs. And it's not likely going to be heavy industry. Do we want to lean into the arts has been, in my opinion, successfully brought up before? What can we do to not only create those business opportunities, but also to create the housing that will be required for those people to live here? Whether that's upstairs housing in the downtown buildings, or it's other types of housing that we can develop with Shorty's help.
First, like everyone said, is jobs. Nobody's gonna stay here if you don't have a good job. Second, I think, is housing. And third, I think, on the list would be things for young people to do. On the housing part of it, Clifton Forge is in the process now of almost selling the old school building for housing. We almost had a grant to make upstairs on downtown as housing. So we're moving forward both on that, in that direction. Good paying jobs. Clifton Forge is a small town. We don't have a lot of land to build something big in, but we do have things for small jobs. 10 small buildings is just as good as one big one, I think, almost. But we need more jobs. To get them, I think we need to work with Allegheny County and Covington. Allegheny County and Covington has a partnership now on the pad area up behind Pacova. That is a great venture, and as something will move into there, that would be great for jobs. It might be in Allegheny County or whatever, but the people who work there are still going to shop here, get gas here, get food here, and come to the theater or whatever to pass time. So I think Clifton is moving in that direction. We need to move in that direction to have cooperation with Covington and Allegheny County to get more jobs. The old buildings that we're buying and selling again, that is going to make jobs. We got 2 down. We'd like to have that whole block, but I don't know if that'll happen. But this is just a start. That will be, 6, 7 jobs. It don't seem like a lot, but you got to start somewhere. And I think Clifton, this council is moving fairly well on that part. Things to do. We need Friday in the Forge is starting to be a big hit. We had the theater, and a lot of things to do. I think she stood up.
Yeah. Thank you. So this next question is very similar to some of your answers. So if there are any additional thoughts you want to add at this time, and we'll start with Michael here. Clifton Forge has a rich history, but faces challenges in attracting new businesses and retaining young professionals. What specific strategies would you implement to stimulate economic growth and create job opportunities in our town?
I'm not sure I would add a whole lot to what I said before, other than to look outside of ourselves. I don't think that we have to rely on ourselves to have the answer every time. Other communities have successfully reinvigorated the downtown and brought those populations back. My son and his wife, for example, when they were first married, lived in downtown Roanoke in an old warehouse kind of building that had been converted. And they loved it because they would have immediate access to downtown, to restaurants and nightlife, and to small groceries, and to the farmer's market. So I really do think that there's a future for that type of young person to want to move back here. The other advantage that we have is just the fact that the availability of fiber and internet connection in our town is pretty incredible for the size of the town that we have. And I know a lot of people, some of which are in that age frame, who have moved here because they wanted to get out of the city, but they wanted to work remotely. And the opportunity to do that here is pretty unique, especially when you consider the price of the housing that you have here versus where they would be paying in the city, and being able to work remotely. Which, granted, I don't think it'll ever go back to everybody in the office. I don't think it'll ever go back to everybody being remote again, hopefully, knock on wood. But I think that also helps us out a lot.
Again, I go back to working with Covington, Allegheny County, and surrounding area. That's very important. Again, with the buildings, fixing the old buildings. But Clifton Forge has a lot to offer. We have arts, we have trails, we have a wonderful field for recreation. We have to advertise these things and market them to the best of our ability. I know we do a lot but we have to get out there and market these things for Roanoke, Lexington, everywhere. Just the Century Trail. I mean, that is a big thing. People come. I've seen people there from one time Lexington, walking the trail. We just gotta market a lot better. We got to get together and work with our other communities and work with them to market and market the area as a whole. The time and day of just Clifton, just Covington, just Allegheny County needs to be gone. We all gotta work together to market the whole area, to get jobs here, to keep our people here.
Thank you. Jordan?
Definitely, like y'all both said, housing is a big deal. You know, I consider myself a pretty decent contractor, and I've fixed up quite a few houses. And a lot of these people I talk to move here from their transplants. They move here from, you know, from everywhere, and they come here because this is a safe place to live. Crime rate here is almost nil. You know, if you hear of a murder, it's once every 10 years, and crime rate is. And another thing is our internet service, to beef up our internet service, because, you know, someone asked me one day, what do you think is going to be extinct in the next 10 years? I believe malls will. People shop online, and people work from home. If people can work from home, they don't have to go out to run. So the upbeat on our internet service and downtown housing. You know, if we'd have got that grant, it would have been great to like the last forum was that I sat outside of my coffee shop, and someone across the street upstairs in the apartment was playing the saxophone. And it was just a beautiful sound, and I told my wife, I wonder what it would be like to live on a flat and just walk downstairs and you'd be downtown. I think that would be a great incentive to have people to move here, would be to fix the top of these stores up for apartments and our internet service, keep up our internet service where we can work online from home and not have to travel. So, and shop online. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next question will be with Jeff. Now that the area schools have consolidated successfully, do you think it is a possibility that area governments will look at combining as well? And what are your thoughts about that?
Ooh, that's a tough one, huh?
They get tougher as they go.
I'm glad the schools consolidated. I think Clifton went through that for 2 or 3 elections of consolidating. It failed once, I think, for all 3 localities. I think it failed once, and just Clifton, and once for Covington. I'm not for sure on all of them, but I know it failed. I do think that the area as one whole could be marketed a lot better as 3 separates, but I don't know if consolidation would be it. I mean, that would be up to the people. Whatever the citizens of Clifton Forge wanted, I mean, it has to be voted on, then that's what we should do. But to me, it would be consolidation of all 3 governments would be up to the people of Clifton Forge.
I'm glad that the schools consolidated. I think it should have been done a long time ago, and I believe that it could be consolidated a little more. The county and the city of Covington and Clifton Forge consolidating is going to be a rough haul when one area, I think, has all the money and all the population. So if you could get them to come along, it would be a great idea. I think to consolidate the whole county would be great. It would be great, but it seems like when we're down here in Clifton Forge, we're always on the low end of the totem pole when things happen. We don't have a whole lot to say so. But again, it'd be up to the people. You know, we work for the people. If the people want to consolidate, I would be willing. I would be willing to consolidate into one big county or one big city, whatever you wanted to do. But that's a long haul and a lot of feelings hurt. Thank you.
Wow. I didn't see that question coming, nor did either of these gentlemen up here, I think. Clearly, if the people of Allegheny County want to do that, I agree wholeheartedly that's the way it should be decided. I would caution people that my biggest concern would be that Clifton Forge would lose its culture, its heart. There are very good people in Covington. I know a lot of people that are there. I think there is a difference of culture between Covington and Clifton Forge. And that's not a negative on Covington. I think that our arts, our volunteerism that we have in Clifton Forge is very unique. We have seen it every day at the tavern. People come to us, and as one of our frequent guests reminded me on Monday, you check the world at the door when you come to the tavern. And I think that Clifton Forge in general is very much the same way. I can have a conversation on the street with anyone from any walk of life, from any background, and be comfortable that we're going to discuss what's really important to the town. And I would be concerned about losing that culture that we have if it were to be consolidated. You know, it's an interesting question. I'm sure that financially there would be economic improvements, but I would be fairly concerned about it. I wouldn't fight it if that's what the people wanted, but I would caution people that it would be very, very challenging.
Thank you all. Next one is for Shorty. Clifton Forge, like many small towns, has aging infrastructure. How would you prioritize infrastructure improvements such as road repairs, water systems, and public facilities while still managing the town's budget effectively?
Grant writers, someone who knows something about money and how to get the federal government to assist us in this. You know, we're working on I think it's the Smith Creek water line, am I right? It's just been awarded to Coffee. It's replacing a line. You know, and here's a great thing about Clifton Forge. We have the best water in the state. I can't express how much. We have the spring-fed Clifton Forge Reservoir with a brand new dam with no farms above it and no septic systems. That water is the cleanest water you can get in the state. And that's a good promotion. I had someone I talked to today from Radford. He said that, you know, they basically hadn't got a water test in 2 years to show the public, and he's really upset about it. And our water system is one of the best. You know, the roads, somehow and I think we've tried to every time we pave a road, the gas company comes along and digs it up. You know, somehow if you could work together with the gas company when they replace these lines, and I think I seen some streets the other day had beautiful asphalt, and I see markings on them. I said, they're gonna cut this up. Some kind of cooperation between the gas companies and again, your water lines are a big deal, so, you know, no sense in paving them when you dig them up.
I think that Chuck and the amazing people in Public Works do a remarkable job of what they do today and what they've done in the last 2 years since I've been here. This is a 10-year issue with respect to infrastructure. It's not a day-by-day or a week-by-week issue. And we have to look out 10 years and see, okay, where will we be in 10 years and how do we get there? When we were working on the amendment to the comprehensive plan, that was a big part of our discussion is in order to attract new businesses and to create new jobs, we do have to have an infrastructure that can handle that. But I think the work that's being done right now, as Shorty pointed out, on the Smith Creek Reservoir line replacement, that's step one. And I know that there are probably 50 steps along the way. Chuck works tirelessly with the Department of Transportation to try to figure out our downtown bridge issue. And there are a lot of components to all of that. But I think that grants are absolutely the key. I think having a relationship with whomever is our senator and our delegate going forward, not just Mr. Head and the senator that we have today, but going forward, having a presence in Richmond. And one thing that I do know is that when you call people repeatedly, they eventually do call you back. And they're very responsive, and they do listen to your ideas and your concerns. And there is a significant amount of federal funding out there that will help us get there. We just have to plan for the future.
Thank you.
Can you read it again?
Sure. Clifton Forge, like many small towns, has aging infrastructure. How would you prioritize infrastructure improvements such as road repairs, water systems, and public facilities while managing the town's budget effectively?
That's a good question. Our infrastructure is old, and this council has addressed it. Just look at the things we've done, and the Public Works and Town Manager has done. We've got grants to redo water lines. We have upgraded paved roads. We've upgraded storm drains. We have upgraded handicap ramps on the sidewalks. We're now doing sidewalks all over town to upgrade them. The water lines, we've got millions of dollars in the water lines. Smith Creek water lines coming up. We're getting ready to start it. Oak Hill, Route 60 water lines. I mean, there's water lines everywhere we have done, but there are more we need to be done. And it is a lengthy process, and it's going to take a while. But we have, this council has addressed them, and I think we're moving forward on them at a good pace. Yes, we can get some, I hope we can get some more grants and do some more of them, but we're moving along with them at a great pace, I think. I'd like to thank the town manager and the Public Works for all they do on the water lines. But the whole infrastructure, I think we address it, and we will continue to address it.
Great, thank you. This next question is for Michael to start. How do you plan to involve Clifton Forge residents, including underrepresented groups, in decision-making processes and ensure their voices are heard in town council meetings and local government initiatives?
Participate. I mean, everyone in this town has the opportunity to come to community gatherings every single month. And I think that while it may be intimidating to come to town council meetings, I think that anyone on the town council should be approachable on the street and able to answer virtually any question that anybody in town has. I think that there are certain pockets of this town where we need to have more of a presence. But I do think that, you know, being the face of the town is part of town council's responsibility. And when we were looking, again, going back to the comprehensive plan, there was a lot of thought given to making sure that every voice was heard and that every perspective had representation in the ideas and the plans that we were putting forth.
Come to a council meeting and give your opinion. You have 5 minutes under public comments to talk to us. I've been to council meetings that had 3 people in it. I mean, you have to come and tell us what you want for us to know. I go out and I talk to the people. I see them everywhere on my daily chores around Clifton. I think everybody in town has my phone number. They call and you know, most of the people I say, hey, I want to talk to you face to face. I don't like texting that much, and I don't like talking on the phone. I want to talk to the citizens face to face and see what they want. Most of the time I meet them, we go talk, I pass it on to wherever it should go, either the town manager, department heads, or council. But come to a meeting, get involved, come to the gatherings, come to council meetings. When I first got elected to council back in 2011, I held a thing that's called a town hall meeting. They did good for about a year or so, and then people stopped coming. I would like to go back to that, having the town hall meetings with maybe the town manager at one, department heads at the other. Can't like you had so many council members at a town hall, at a town hall meeting, but maybe one council member, we'll switch it up. If it's me or Shorty or whoever gets elected, then we'll do it that way, but we can't have it two. But switch it up, come to it. You know, like I said, I had them starting out, that they did wonderful for about a year, and then everybody just dropped off. But that's what I would like to do, is go back to doing a town hall meeting and seeing what the people wanted.
Thank you. Shorty?
You, repeat that again.
Sure. How do you plan to involve Clifton Forge residents, including underrepresented groups, in decision-making processes and ensure their voices are heard in town council meetings and local government initiatives?
Building relationships. You know, I come from that group of people, and doing a book report was terrifying to me. It took all I could do to stand up and do a book report in the school until I fixed what was wrong in my head. But a lot of these people feel less than. They feel, you know, when I struggled talking to doctors in public, college deans, because I felt less than. These people that you're talking about feel that way. They don't, communication is the bottom of the list. So building relationships with these people and making sure that they have a word. I still have the list of people off of Roxbury Street talking about the road out back. I just want to talk to them. See, I rode up through there a couple of times and talked to a couple of them, but getting them to come to a council meeting is like doing a book report. It's terrifying. It's terrifying for some people to come into a group of people and either they say it too loud or too low. Too loud or too low. And it's just, if you know poor people have a different way of thinking than a lot of people. And it's just it takes a lot of work and a lot of relationship building to get them involved. Thank you.
Great, thank you. This next question, we will start in the middle with Jeff. Clifton Forge is known for its scenic beauty, thriving art scene, cultural heritage, and unique lodging options. What role do you see tourism playing in the town's future, and how would you support attractions across the entire Allegheny Highlands region that would inevitably boost tourism in Clifton Forge specifically?
I am 100% for arts, but it takes everything. Not arts, it takes recreation, it takes a lot to build a town. And the arts is the right direction for now. Used to be the railroad, the railroad's gone. So we need to market the arts. Again, like I said the first time, we need to market it in districts like Roanoke, Lexington, far as out as we can, to get people to come here in town. I think we're doing a good job at it. I wish we could do some better and get more people here. I've seen shows here at the theater that was packed, and I've seen great performers that didn't have 200 people here. We have to get them here and make them spend their money somehow. But Clifton Forge is leaning towards arts. To me, I like to go to the arts. Some things, it's not me, some things are, and that's what a lot of people in Clifton say. You know, I'm not the type to go to country music. I'd like to see rock. Or I'm not the type to see rock. I want to see gospel. And I'd like to see us stagger it for the community, different types of things that the community would like. And to do that, I would like to see the community get involved and tell us what they want. I mean, just going telling me at the Kroger or Dollar Store or wherever what they want Get it out. Come to a council meeting. Come here to the theater or anywhere that the arts is going on. Visit your local shops. Tell the people what you'd like to see or what you want to do.
Thank you. Shorty?
Arts and crafts, tourism. Tourism should be highly promoted in this town. I mean, that's where the town gets a lot of their income from and their finances. But another thing too, and I always go back to it, Clifton Forge is one of the few cities left in the United States that you can walk downtown at 1 o'clock in the morning and not have to worry about getting mugged or raped or things like that. You should just promote it as a safe town, and you know, my stuff stays unlocked all the time because I feel safe here in Clifton Forge, and I think that's why a lot of people are moving to Clifton Forge, especially people who are retired and elderly, because they feel safe here, and there's a lot to do. Promote the parks, the walking trails, the arts and crafts. There's things to do. I mean, you can learn, if you retire here, you can learn anything you want, from blacksmith welding to pottery to painting. And it's plenty to do in this town, and you know, I'm 100% for promoting arts, crafts, trails, and the historical part of this town. This town has a great history. And another thing about Clifton Forge, there's no truck traffic. That's what makes it so great. No chain brakes, no horns, and no smoke from any mills.
Thank you.
I think being successful at promoting tourism for our entire area goes back to what Jeff referred to earlier, which is better cooperation and better coordination and collaboration with Covington and Allegheny County. And when I think about the sponsorship of this event being, you know, the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce, I think Josh is doing a great job. I think that we have to, as a town and as members of the chamber from Clifton Forge, be more vocal, be more, you know, participate more. I think that the upcoming community gathering that Josh is going to head up will be a great time for everybody in this community to come forth and give their ideas about how we promote tourism. Yes, there's an infrastructure question that we have to answer, but I think that tourism is one of the things that you can fix along the way. I maybe at a little bit of an advantage that we see so many people at the tavern that are from out of town. This weekend alone, there were families from everywhere that were coming to Douth, that are coming to Lake Mumont to have family reunions, and I had too many conversations to even count. And when you hear those conversations, you really get the sense of how much people that are not here every day really do appreciate what we have. Many of them grew up here, moved away, but are coming back and finding a Clifton Forge that's really hopeful for the future, that's really going in the right direction, and I do think we are. I think that we can do a better job of collaborating with everyone across the county and having more of a voice with the Economic Development Authority and making some things happen.
Great, thank you. I'm looking at our time and I'm looking at our questions, and some of them are I think you've already addressed things like broadband and talking about that. So I'm taking the editorial version and moving ahead with a couple of questions. So the next one is for Shorty. With the closing of the Karelian Clinic, what are your thoughts regarding the lack of Clifton Forge medical care?
Not good for the community. If you don't have a medical, you have to drive a long ways to get medical assistance, people will be deterred from here, especially the elderly who need medical care. You know, in emergencies and things, and, you know, I hear people badmouth our hospital all the time. I tell them, look, you got to stop. At least we have one. We have a hospital. You know, if it wasn't about a hospital, a lot of you people wouldn't be alive. And you know, they do the best they can. You know, I know the population, the big population has moved away from here. I don't know exactly the statistics on how many. I know in the 70s, this town, in this county, in the city of Cody were booming, and it's hard to support a hospital without people, you know, and it's a very, very needed resource, very, very needed resource. So, thank you.
Michael?
I think it's a really sad situation for sure. Not actually, Ann and I were talking about it today. Not having somewhere where someone can walk to get health care, I think that's a big problem. And I think it should be a priority for the leadership of this town to find out what our opportunities are. And I'm speaking from complete ignorance. There may be many conversations that are going on that I'm not aware of. I've talked to Greg Madsen on a weekly basis. I had no idea it was coming. We were good friends with Lee Higginbotham, who recently just left Louis Gale to go to North Carolina. But I think that, you know, going back to part of my opening statement is, people outside of this community can help us fix our problems. They may not have the solution, but maybe a conversation with them will lead us to the answer where we really need to be. One of the very first conversations that I had with Greg was probably 3 months after we moved here. And we were talking about the availability potentially eventually of upstairs living in the downtown area, and the ability to attract doctors to work here, and what programs could be developed to attract doctors to rural areas. I know that historically it's been done, so we need to explore every possibility that we can to bring healthcare back down to downtown Clifton Forge.
Thank you.
I too think this is a very, very important situation. We do need doctors. I remember a day and time there was 4 or 5 doctor's offices in Clifton. Now, I don't think we have one. The hospital, I know it does what it can do, but we need to look into. We're kind of blind on this situation. As a council, we do what we can, and we need to check on this and see what we can do legally or what we can do to talk to the hospital or to get doctors here. This council has got our own EMS. We saw a lack in response time for the old Clifton Forge Rescue Squad because of the members are getting older. Nobody wants to volunteer anymore. They still have theirs, we still have ours. But we seen a need in that, so we got our own EMS, which is great for this area. I think Covington did the same. We need to work with the county on EMS. We're trying to do that now to get a squad on one side, a squad on the other side of Allegheny County, where everybody is covered in the county. One life, I don't care if it's in Clifton Forge, Covington, Allegheny County. If we lose one life where we didn't have a squad on time, that's tremendously awful. It shouldn't be. So we worked on that part as Clifton Forge to take care of our town. But the whole area do need better doctors, more doctors, and at the hospital, we need to see what we can do to help that situation.
Great, thank you. I believe the next question is to Michael first. What does success for Clifton Forge look like in your mind?
Full occupation of downtown businesses and 60 to 70% upstairs apartments developed and rented, with a culture leaning into the arts and a continuation of just the lively neighborhood feel that this town has. I think success is ultimately very achievable, regardless of how you define it. If you're really willing to roll up your sleeves and sit down and have difficult conversations about the decisions that are going to have to be made to make it happen. The list for the buildings, the vacant properties list, or some people call it the dilapidated list, whatever it is. There's some difficult conversations, but I agree with that. It has to start with a conversation to say, look, this is the direction we're going to go, and we really need you to be in lockstep with us. Unfortunately, there's one particular individual who is on the record as saying she wants the town to fail. And I don't know how to address that. If you want this town to fail, please go somewhere else. Because there's so many people in this town that are dedicated to making it a success and to really making a difference. There's just so many examples of properties downtown that need help, the people that didn't take advantage of the grant for the facade and front of the building grant like we did. You have to put some money in it, but it makes a huge difference.
I too would like to see every building on Main Street filled. Is that going to happen? Being honestly, probably not. I'd like to see jobs here. That may happen. Like I said, Covington and Allegheny's working on the pad. Hopefully somebody will come there and get us some jobs. We're working on housing. The future of Clifton, I think, is bright. I mean, we've done things in Clifton that I've been here, like I said, my whole life, and I've seen things going on that I thought I'd never see in Clifton Forge. I mean, is it going to be perfect in Clifton? No. Do you know a town that is perfect? I don't. We're fixing up infrastructure upgrades. That's moving forward. Our utility bills have been level for 2 years. That's upstanding. Our no tax increase for 4 years in Clifton Forge, and that is great, especially counting COVID. If we wouldn't have had meals tax in Clifton Forge like it is, when COVID hit, we would have been sunk. The meals tax was what saved Clifton Forge at COVID. We've had pay raises for employees. For almost every year I've been on council, and Mr. Unruh has been the town manager, our employees have had pay raises. We've got new and stricter codes coming on. The dilapidating buildings, yes, we got work to do there. But under that, I think Mr. Foster said that it was on the books. It's on the books for the state. We have not done it on our books yet. Maybe hidden in that direction, but we have not done it yet. But the state has. We've developed our own EMS, like I said. I mean, our new web page. We got pay online services, which everybody in Clifton Forge, I think, is happy on that one. We got new vehicles for 7 departments. We've got bought old buildings and fixed them up. All this with no tax increases. I think that is tremendous from what we got in town hall, what we have with the town manager and his council.
Shorty?
Where do we see Clifton Forge in, you say 10 years?
What does success for Clifton Forge look like in your mind?
Oh, pretty much we're heading in the right direction. I think we've done a great job the last 4 years. We're on the verge of the old East School being forget how many apartments are gonna be in that place, and they're not gonna be low-income apartments, they're gonna be high-income apartments. So when you get right on, right the other side of on the east end of town, your high-end apartments downtown over top of these stores. So how do you fill these stores? I don't know. How do you fill them? You heard me say a minute ago what I think is going to be closing in the next 10 years. I believe it's malls. People shop online. You're not gonna open up your clothing store down here in town and people shop, or your shoe store. I remember we used to have shoe stores and clothing stores down here. What are you gonna put in there? What are we gonna put in there? Besides, because every day I come home, something's sitting on my porch, my wife can hold it. You know, she didn't go shopping for it, she got it off online. So how do you fill these storefronts with you can't fill them with shoes, you know? We have to have a different vision, some kind of a different vision for these downtown. I know the upstairs apartments would be great, along with, especially if we get this East School up and going, but we're on the verge of having 2 charging stations for these electric vehicles. And, you know, the water lines infrastructure, we've got several grants. We've got $8 million in grants in the last 4 years. And that's a great thing. I keep writing grants, keep trying to get federal help and some kind of what do you call engineers to come in and look and see what we can do, put in these buildings.
Great, thank you. Well, gentlemen, we've come to the end of the question period, and we now will have 3 minutes to present statements about your candidacy and explain why you're running for office. And we will actually start with Shorty Wolf on that end.
Why am I running for office? Why am I running for office? I love Clifton Forge. I want to see it do better. I want Clifton Forge to be like it was in the 60s and 70s. It may not be the same. How do you draw people back to this area? You know, the only thing I can say is I love Clifton Forge. We moved here 13 years ago, and we love Clifton Forge. We love its theater, the arts and crafts place, and all the things you can do, the parks and trails, and I don't know outside of industrial what you could do, but you know, I'm about the only thing I can say is Clifton Forge is a great place to live. I want to finish my life out here. I don't want to have to move, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of you know, my children. My son's talking about moving to Florida, and I would like, maybe it's too late for our children to live here, but it ain't too late to bring our grandchildren back here to live. And a lot of that is upgrading the internet to top of the line internet where they can work from home and live upstairs and walk downtown and eat. Thank you.
Mike.
I think I was 7 years old. My family was going on a skiing trip in Montana. My dad was driving. And our car broke down about 45 miles outside of the little town where I grew up. We pulled over the side of the road. And a nice farmer gentleman who was on the way to church stopped and said, "You got a problem?" My dad's like, "Yes, sir. Car broke down. We're trying to go skiing." And this farmer said, "Put your skiing stuff in my car, take my car skiing, and when you come back, your car will be fixed." Never forget that. And that for me really established who I am today. That open nature, that giving people an opportunity to really show themselves. I try to portray that every day. And I think that when it comes to being a leader in a community, it takes that compassion and it takes that willingness to sit and listen to anybody that has an opinion to share. To spend time with people who are, less fortunate than I am. My wife and I moved to Charlottesville when we had a 1-year-old son after I had a conversation with an English teacher at Northern Virginia Community College. Yes, I am a proud product of the Northern Virginia, or the Virginia Community College and Public University system. And this English teacher said to me, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking your class." And she said, "No, I mean, you just brushing up on your English." And I said, "No, I never got my degree." And she was visibly angry with me and said, "Drop what you're doing, go back to school and get your degree." That was a life-changing moment for me. Thanks to the community college system, went on to UVA, and a few years later carried my son across the stage when I graduated. We lived on a teacher's small salary for 2 years. My beautiful wife was a special ed teacher. I spent as much time as I could with my son walking around grounds. I paid all of my loans back, which were significant, let me tell you, because we did it on our own. And I think that everyone has their story. Everybody's life is a story. And I want a chapter of my story to include being a big part of taking this town to the next level that I know it can get to.
Thank you.
I think everyone in Clifton Forge, well, maybe not everyone, knows me. They know what I'm about. They come to me, they talk to me, they tell me their problems. I pass them on to the departments they should be at. Everyone in this town needs to be represented. And I think I do that by being very approachable, very out there, talking to the citizens, walking the streets of Clifton, seeing the citizens and talking to them. And especially my phone goes off by 50 times a day. I'd appreciate your vote on November the 5th for the Clifton Forge Town Council. I've been there for 13 years and like to be there 4 more to represent the town citizens of Clifton, all the town citizens, all the businesses. Thanks to all our businesses. They do a great job. They do what they can with what they have. And I think it's what makes Clifton Forge, it's Clifton Forge's heart, but our blood is our citizens. We need to listen to the citizens and keep moving forward in the right direction. Again, I have 13 years experience. I represent this town with all my heart. Anybody can say what they want about me, but one thing they can't say is I don't love Clifton Forge. I've lived here, seen it come and go again, like I said, and I do everything to represent it. I go to everything I can possible to represent Clifton Forge to better. I love our town, I love our citizens, I love our businesses. It's just everything to me. And I'd like to continue that with your vote on November 5th. I want Clifton Forge to stay in the right direction. I think it's not perfect now, like I said, but nothing's perfect. No town is perfect. But I think Clifton's doing it in the right direction. I want to see it going, keep here to follow it through in the right direction. My platform on this election is like it's always been. I'm a local voice for all the citizens. I want to keep the progress moving in the right direction. I'm dedicated to helping the citizens, the businesses, and the whole town. I do what I can all the time for Clifton Forge to move in the right direction. And I'm there for the residents. Just would like to be your council member, again, for another 4 to keep what we started going to where I want it to be finished. And that is with the storefronts full, hopefully, infrastructure fixed, people coming to town on events, to shows, to the arts. I'd love to see it like, and I'm going to refer to it as the Wizard of Oz, the glowing citizen of Oz,
Fine.
the whole town, just glowing and full of businesses. And thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our three candidates. I'd like to thank the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring. I'd like to thank the theater and Justin for host. I'd like to thank the Covington Women's Club back there. And remember to vote on November 5th. And we really appreciate your attendance tonight. And thank you very much for coming out. Have a good evening.
The journal appreciates your participation. Appreciate you watching.